Hi, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. Today, I want to share on the teachings of the Buddha and how important a human birth is, a human life. And I want to start by reading a little bit from the words of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha that we know of, that we have statues of, the one that lived 2,500 years ago, of which Buddhism sprang up in India. After he became enlightened, one of the things he said to his monks about merit, the key to good fortune, he said, "For I know full well, monks, that for a long time I experienced desirable, wished for, dear, and agreeable results from often having performed meritorious deeds. Having cultivated for just 7 years a mind of loving kindness, for 7 eons, 7 huge ages of contraction and expansion in the world, I did not return to this world. Whenever the eon contracted, I reached the plane of streaming radiance, and when the eon expanded, I arose in an empty divine mansion, and there I was Brahma, the great Brahma, the unvanquished victor, the all-seeing, the all-powerful. 36 times I was Saka, ruler of the Devas, and many hundreds of times I was a wheel-turning monarch, righteous, a king of righteousness, conqueror of the 4 regions of earth, maintaining stability in the land, in possession of the 7 treasures. It occurred to me, monks, to wonder, of what kind of deed of mine is this the fruit? Of what deeds ripening am I now of such great accomplishment and power? And then it occurred to me, it is the fruit of 3 kinds of deeds of mine, the ripening of 3 kinds of deeds, that I am now of such great accomplishment and power. Deeds of giving, of self-mastery, and of refraining. There are, O monks, 3 ways of making merit. There are ways of making merit by giving, by moral discipline, and by the development of meditation. So, what is he saying here? First, we must understand that in Eastern cosmology, in Buddhism, and Hinduism, and Sikhism, they understand that the universe, just like physics understands, goes back billions and billions of years, and that there's many universes upon universes, and they talk in these huge cycles of time. That's why the Buddha said, just from 7 years of practicing loving kindness on earth, I wasn't reborn into this world for eons and eons of contraction and expansion, which means expansion is what happened 13.4 billion years ago when the Big Bang happened, or what the time they say. Contraction would be at the end of this entire universe when it closes down and crushes into itself and dissolves. So he's saying, just from practicing loving kindness deeply on this earth for 7 years, he was free from the suffering of the human birth for eons and eons. And when the universe would contract, it is said in the East that if you're a high enough being, if one is in tune enough, enlightened enough, rather than dissolving back into nothing, one can stay. That's why he said, when the eons contract, I would go into the higher realms of radiance. And then he said 36 times I was born as Saka, ruler of the Devas. So one life of Saka is probably millions or billions of years. So there's these archetypes, and he's saying, I was born as Saka so many times. Brahma is the creator of each universe, the creative principle or energy of the universe. He says, I was born as Brahma, the great creator. And then other beings can be born as Brahma in future ages, in future universes. So, but what he's describing here, then he says, how did I attain these heavenly births, these heavenly states? And he said, it was by the merit I cultivated, by meditation, by giving, by moral discipline. So, how important is the human life? It is said in the Hindu scriptures that one attains a human birth only after millions of lifetimes. And the poet Rumi said, first you were mineral, then plant, then animal, now human being. So the process is very slow to get here. And in the East, they say a human birth is envied even by the gods because we, this plane has so much suffering in it, but we also have wisdom and compassion, and the great suffering propels us to do our spiritual work, because if we were in too much bliss, we wouldn't seek God, we wouldn't seek our souls, we wouldn't seek liberation. But because of the perfect mix of pleasure and pain here, those with wisdom seek something higher, seek something deeper. And because of the vast suffering, we can develop compassion. So a human life that most people are out there frivolously wasting in vanity, looking for to make more money or have more power or a better relationship, or just simply wasting in vanity, is a birth envied by the gods, that the great sages from beginningless time have told us a human birth is so sacred and what you do with it so important, and it determines so much about where you go next, whether it's another human life somewhere higher or somewhere lower. And I thought the great significance when the Buddha said, for only 7 years of cultivating loving kindness, he obtained such great results. So it makes us realize that the deeds we do of service, of love, of sadhana, of spiritual practice, whether through prayer, yoga, meditation, serving the poor, devotion to Christ, devotion to Guru, studying the scriptures, meditating on these teachings, hearing them, even having the ears to hear them, is so important and makes such a big difference. But before we finish, I also wanted to touch on how they are talking about these vast spans of time and these vast universes of the gods and the devas, and how far back it all goes and how long it'll continue. This is so because God is boundless and universes continually create and dissolve. Since beginningless time, there was no discernible beginning to creation, and there's no discernible end. It goes on for eternity and beyond. And in Hinduism, they say Brahma, the creator of the universe, they say there's billions of Brahmas, there's billions of universes popping in and out of existence all the time. So the great sage Nisargadatta Maharaj said, wisdom tells me I'm nothing. I was just at a temple in Chicago, Illinois yesterday, and one of the purest, most devoted souls at the temple, he said, we're like ants in this universe. But Nisargadatta Maharaj also said, love tells me I'm everything. And in between the two, my life moves. So we don't want to get so puffed up about ourselves, because our life's like a finger snap, and we're living in this vast, even in this Milky Way, 400 billion stars in this small galaxy we live in. So, but we can each cultivate our own merit and our own practice through the good deeds we do, through the meditation we practice, through the mantra we do, through the service we render unto others. So never think that when you're doing good deeds or spiritual practice, is this worth it? Is this doing anything? Everything is recorded in your soul, your karma, in the law of God. Nothing escapes. So both our good and bad deeds bear fruit. And so everything you're doing to work on yourself is powerful, is valid, and is worth it. So I encourage you to contemplate that. Contemplate the vast spans of time and space and the infinity of your existence and where you want to travel in this realm. in these realms what you want to cultivate. And I will leave you with Namaste, which means my soul honors your soul. I honor the place in you in which the whole universe resides. Namaste.